Okay.
Hello and welcome to our review of Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 9, The Battle of the Bastards.
Yeah. Well, so that was quite an exciting episode, um, and with a twist because nothing really bad happens. Um, I had been expecting that either Jon or Sansa was going to die in this episode because I thought if it's episode 9, we have to be prepared for something that's going to be really tragic. And I had expected that one of the Stark kids is going to get it, either Arya, Sansa, or Jon.
But it was Rickon.
Yeah, but Rickon is really not a character that you feel very invested in because we haven't seen much of him. He's not been on screen
Yeah.
for like 2 years, and suddenly we saw him for 2 minutes. So it was, yeah, when he died, we didn't feel that affected by it because he's not really been in the show for much time.
Yeah, I felt more affected for Jon and Sansa for their loss rather than actually the loss of Rickon to us.
Oh, you actually felt affected. To me, when he died, I
Yeah.
was just not too.
Do you understand what I mean?
I
Just
do,
from
but
their
I
point.
didn't
Yeah.
have that kind of feeling.
Uh-huh.
To me, it was just like, or maybe it's because that conversation that Sansa had with Jon, it kind of sets up the whole thing. It set it up for, yeah, Rickon's
He is
gonna die.
probably going to die.
He's dead anyway. He's a walking corpse already. So it was no surprise. Plus, you knew it the minute he set him free and said, "Run to your brother." You knew he wasn't going to make it
But
because
the way that they shot it kind of made you think, well, maybe
Yeah.
he's going to, maybe he's going to.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, because like when he was taking aim, Ramsay drew his bow and he was taking aim, and you thought, yes, he's going to kill Rickon, but then he missed, and then after that you've got a bit where Rickon is running towards Jon, and you think, well, okay, like maybe Ramsay's not that good an archer after all, and then you see Rickon coming suddenly, like he's dead. Yeah, that was quite. But no, I was expecting that actually that Ramsay was going to win, and either Jon or Sansa, or maybe both of them were going to get it because it's Game of Thrones.
Episode 9.
Yeah, you're so. I was actually thinking to myself that, in fact, I said this to you, didn't I? That look, it's episode 9. Somebody is going to get it, and we're going to be upset at the end of it. It was actually a very pleasant surprise that no, actually Ramsay loses and gets killed at the end. So that was good actually to see that.
And he didn't just get killed, he got his deserved end.
Yeah, that was a pretty horrible death. So you were telling me that you saw some parallels in the two storylines. So the other storyline we had to speak, of course, was the one with
Daenerys.
Khaleesi in Marine.
Yes.
So you just want to tell me what parallels you
it was just
met?
obviously seeing the two different storylines and seeing the main characters for each storyline. Daenerys, she's come from having nothing to building up her army. She's got the Unsullied army, she's got the Dothraki, and now she's going to have Yara's fleet as well to help her get back to Westeros. And then you've got Jon on the other side. Again, he's gone from having no followers to now he's got the wildlings, and he's got the houses that are showing their loyalty to him and fighting for him. So they've both come from not having anything to building up their armies, and now they are planning to take back.
So when you mentioned you saw parallels just now, you're actually talking about parallels between Jon and Khaleesi.
Yes.
Yeah, because I thought you meant Sansa and Khaleesi, because even for Sansa, she's also got that, at the start, she's just this silly girl, a very young girl who's
naive,
and she's being treated by other people as like a pawn in their own political calculations. But now, like we've reached a stage where, like Khaleesi, she's actually become a player, and she's not just a pawn to be manipulated by other people, but she actually has her own
she's influencing
mind, and
she's
so she's a strong, and that's another interesting thing, isn't it? Because now, what happens in the North? Is it like, okay, Rickon is dead, Jon's a bastard, so I mean, it's not, he's technically a bastard, he's a nice guy, but So what? Sansa is the Lady of Winterfell? I mean, how is this going to work? Do you think she's going to like become the Lady of Winterfell?
I'm not sure. It's difficult to say.
Hmm, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because obviously it's the House of Stark. Winterfell is where the Starks come
yeah.
from. Now they put all the banners up, and
And that's the other thing, isn't it? So suddenly you see girl power because what you've got is Yara is trying to get Khaleesi to, put her in as the queen of the Iron Islands, and Daenerys wants to be the overall queen. So you're going to have a lot of strong women who are actually ruling as opposed to being like letting the men rule and they just like influence the men behind the scenes
yeah,
as like Cersei used to do. So that's quite interesting as well. I don't know if we're going to see an empowerment kind of thing for the ladies in Game of Thrones. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah. So, and what did you think of the actual battle scene? How did you?
Nail biting. It was very gritty and very kind
Oh
of
yeah, what?
realistic and terrifying,
Yeah,
and just like I was holding my breath the whole way through. I think.
I seriously thought Jon Snow was gone.
Yeah, from the initial when he ran to save Rickon, and then he's standing there, and then you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to completely just like chop his head off, and that's going to be it. But then obviously his army comes through, and Davos leads them
Yeah,
into,
yeah,
and then it's horrifying when they started trampling on John when they surrounded them, and then there's all the scrambling, and it's like the music started playing, and you're
yeah.
like,
The worst
oh
thing was the
what?
music.
And then it starts fading out, the sound
Yeah,
starts fading out, the music starts playing. Like, really, is this how John is gonna actually meet his end? This is terrible. I was kind of like a bit worried that
yeah,
that was gonna be it.
yeah. And the thing is, like, and it all kind of fits the pattern, doesn't it? Because it's like Ned Stark, well, literally loses his head because he places more value on honor than Machiavellian politics. So it's like my honor is more important to me than manipulating, etc. And this was the same. It's like when Ramsay did that, when he set Rickon free and started shooting arrows at him, he was calculating that Jon Snow would be exactly like his father. It's like the clever thing to do would be to just, okay, he's
Yeah.
dead.
And Sansa was right. Sansa was bang on. It's like he's going to play games with you.
Yeah.
Don't do what he wants you to
Yeah.
do. She was wise to it. And
Yeah.
She warned John against it.
Yeah, but if I can just finish the comparison I was making, it's like Ramsay's actually calculating, I know this family, they will value honor more. And that's the choice he trusts on John. It's like the honorable thing to do is to jump up on your horse like a hero and run in to try and save your brother because that's what a standard Hollywood movie hero would do or a TV show hero would do. That's what Ned Stark would have done. And that's what Jon Snow. So Ramsay's actually read his man. He knows this guy isn't going to be crafty and let his brother die. He's going to try and do the heroic thing. And that's how, and Jon's entire battle strategy was based on we let them charge us and then we get them from the sides. And that's it. His strategy is gone because instead of letting Ramsay's army charge, his army is charging and they're going to get wiped out. And they would have been wiped out except for the fact that Sansa had the sense to call in Littlefinger to her aid. So
Why do you think she didn't tell
tell Jon about the night.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's difficult. Well, on one level, it's possible that because what she was saying to Jon was, well, you're not listening to me. If you had asked my insight, I could tell you this. So there could be an element of if I tell them, they'll just like poo-poo it and say, no, we don't want to, etc. It's possible she could actually have been thinking, oh, if I say it to them, they may disagree and then they might send a message. But I think the other thing is like, okay, my own opinion is Sansa has actually evolved into a very cold and calculating character. So she is actually sort of, she's got her own motives. She's actually evolving from being a simple little girl to a political player with very Machiavellian instincts. And she's actually learning from Littlefinger. Littlefinger.
That's where we live.
Shh, say that. Yeah. So yeah, I think that there may be an element of calculation, but like I was saying to you earlier on, the other possibility is that she actually wants to be the one who is the Lady of Winterfell. So in her mind, it's best if the army that's backing her is the most powerful one. And she is very confident that she can get away with Littlefinger. That whatever she says, he's going to, because Littlefinger's weak spot is actually his affection for Sansa Stark. Otherwise, he's got no weakness, but that's Littlefinger's Achilles heel. And she knows it and she's playing on it. So there's this thought like, who's the real winner of this? And we watched this review by Champion Grove from Waterflip, and he thinks, oh, Littlefinger is the one who's manipulated everything to his ends, and he's actually just, I don't think so. I think Sansa is actually the real winner. She's not just dumb. She knows that she can exert some control over Littlefinger. What do you think? Do you think that theory that Littlefinger is actually the one who's pulling all the strings is correct?
I don't see him pulling the strings. I don't think he's being selfless in the situation, but I don't see him as being the key player.
He's not being selfless. He is doing what he's doing to get the woman he wants, and that's his. And that's very interesting, you see, because there's always this comparison between Littlefinger and Varys, right? But one weakness Littlefinger has, which Varys can't have, is sexual or romantic attraction, because Varys is immune to it because he's a eunuch. So he's not going to lose his heart to a woman and then allow the woman to actually be in charge, because he doesn't really have such feelings. But that's Littlefinger's weak spot, because he really wants Sansa. Because I think one thing that's been made obvious is that he's always been madly in love with her mother, and that Sansa actually, like, when she's grown up, she looks a lot like Cat. So I think actually Sansa is the big winner in the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, anything else to say about Daenerys?
I don't know. I guess we already knew that. I did say last week that, yeah, I mean, she's got a dragon. That whole fleet, the ships are made of wood.
Yeah,
so,
it wasn't like surprising that she got on the dragon and started breathing fire.
Yeah. And the other thing, like when you watch that review by Chanko, right, there was this quote, oh, the masters are stupid. They didn't calculate for the dragon. But how would they have known that she's actually going to be coming back? Because all they know is she disappeared. She's not been around for a long time. Plus, do they actually know definitely that she has got full control of her dragons? I mean, they may have known that that dragon came and, rescued her, but not that she can actually consciously use. I suppose.
I think it's very easy to say that people are being stupid, but all they can judge on is what information they have. And they might actually be quite clever, but just not have all the facts.
Yeah. I think there is this bit of reviewer arrogance sometimes in that we watch a show and we know because we're the audience. So we think, how come he's making such a stupid decision? But this is a a fantasy medieval environment. So they
no mobiles.
Yeah, no mobiles, no internet, your spies can't send you an email on the dark web to give you information. And you go according to, and to mobilize a fleet and to sail, it does take a lot of time. So that fleet may have actually set off like sometime back in order to be hitting marine. So I guess there is, I don't think you can just completely blame them. But of course, we as viewers knew this was going to happen. Because the minute Daenerys turned up, was it last episode that she came back?
Yes, the end.
Yeah, I mean, I was already saying, okay, she's got a dragon. Those ships are made of wood. There's just no way. They're finished. Like, she's going to destroy them. But it's actually interesting to see how the whole balance of power shift. isn't it? Because suddenly it's like you've got these massive weapons that you can use in a military situation, and you have an enormous advantage. So it's like nobody can actually stand against you.
Yeah, and it's that nice that that's evolved now, because to start with, she didn't really have much control over them.
Yeah.
But now gradually she's becoming more and more in control. And first she had the one, and now the other two have has completely escaped. They're completely free.
In fact, there was one point where it looked like she had completely lost control of them, right? Because they were going around like murdering like people's kids in the countryside, etc. And then that's why she chained them up. Yeah. But I think the other thing is that as we've watched Game of Thrones, and I'm not talking about this last season, I'm talking about from the start. Initially, it's now, I would say, this is high fantasy. I mean, you've actually got dragons who are flying up and destroying a fleet. Because when we first started, Game of Thrones was in a very realistic, not a real environment, but in a very realistic. If you were a political player like Tywin Lannister, you based all your calculations on what armies you had, what allies you had, what compromises and deals you could cut. So it was a bit like being in medieval Europe, where you make all your calculations based on the size of your army, who you can count on to support, etc. Whereas now it's like a complete fantasy universe where it's all about your dragons who can bring people back from the dead and what sort of like magic you've got on your side.
Although the others were always there, the White Walkers were always there.
Yeah. The beginning. But in season 1, we only saw the White Walkers at the very beginning, in the first episode, where there was that scene where they killed Rhaemar Royce. Rhaemar Royce was the Black Watch, the knight in the Black Watch, who gets killed right at the start of episode 1. And then you didn't see them at all. And then you had people like Tyrion like making fun of the whole idea that there are dangers beyond the wall. He was like, it's not. It's just like tribesmen, let's say.
It's put on the back burner while we see what's going on in the real world.
And I think after the first few episodes, I mean, you didn't forget, but it wasn't really on your mind anymore, this whole thing about the White Walkers, because really, even at the wall, all the talk was more about the wildlings on the move rather than actually there's White Walkers. It's not until the season 3, the premiere of season 3, that you really start to think of, oh no, in season 2 there's that scene, right, where the White Walker comes and takes the baby from Craster's camp. But yeah, so now we're really moving into high fantasy, and I mean, I like that, so, that was good to see.
What did you think about, because Tyrion made a few comments to Daenerys about her father and the whole plot with the wildfire and the city.
Yeah.
And talking about her father as being like the Mad King, like making comparisons. Is she becoming this kind of similar person to her father?
Yeah, I think we're starting to, I mean, there is this other theory that I've read about on the internet, that eventually Khaleesi is going to become the ultimate villain in Game of Thrones. So she's going to become this very powerful monarch who's got dragons at her command and doesn't think twice about just killing like hundreds, thousands of people to get power. And that when she comes back, it's actually she's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be that simplistic, or I think what we're going to actually see next season is we're going to have two sides coming into conflict. Daenerys and her supporters, who we like. I mean, we all like Tyrion. We love Grey Worm. We love Missandei. We even don't mind Daario Naharis to a certain extent. And we like them, and when they're fighting against people, we're rooting for them. But now what we're going to get into is a conflict situation where they're going to come into conflict with the other characters who we like the Starks. So that's going to be very, because
will she be in conflict with the Starks?
Yeah, well, she would. She would, because to her, the people who overthrew her father were Robert Baratheon and Ned Stark. Because Robert and Ned were the prime movers behind the rebellion against the Mad King. They're the ones who, I mean, Tywin Lannister, like, And okay, the Lannisters as well. She'd be against all three, right? Starks, Baratheons, Lannisters will all be her enemies. So I mean, okay, she may not immediately come into conflict with the Starks, but now I don't know what's going to happen in the North. Most probably, Sansa is going to be the Lady of the Dark, unless Bran comes back. But then we don't even know what Bran would be like when he comes back.
Yeah, because he's got his all. He's like the three-eyed raven now,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So that's
Yeah,
going to
so
be his priority.
I'm guessing you can't actually replace the three-eyed raven plus be Lord of Winterfell because you like a conflict of interest. So Sansa will be. So the Starks are again in power in the North. And Littlefinger might want to marry her to get into power if he can, if she will accept him. But, for the present, the North has gone back to the Stark. So if Daenerys comes back, she's going to come into conflict with both Lannisters and the Stark. I mean, it'll be interesting. Are we actually going to see, next season where the Lannisters and the Starks are actually if you think about it, if Dany comes back with the dragons and Dothraki, and is trying to reconquer, the most sensible thing for the Lannisters to do is to bury the hatchet with the Starks and fight against the common enemy. And it's like we don't hate the Lannisters anymore, do we? It's I don't know. Like you're probably like hoping Cersei doesn't get it at the end of this season.
Yes, but only in opposition to the High Sparrow, because I can't stand the High Sparrow and all its people. They make me crazy. I hate them.
You and quite a lot of other people. I think most people's sympathies are with Cersei. I think the majority of Game of Thrones fans are not going to hope for a victory for the High Sparrow.
But then if it was Cersei against the Starks or Cersei against Daenerys, then obviously my sympathies would shift.
Against Daenerys,
Difficult.
It's difficult. But the thing is, we don't really dislike Cersei anymore. I guess there's a thought that she's paid. She's lost Joffrey, she's lost Myrcella, and she's been through like the walk of shame. So we kind of think, right, she's paid for her crimes to a certain extent. So we don't want her to die.
Yeah, but what's going to happen at her trial? She's probably going to die.
Well, we don't know.
I still think the Lannisters' time is.
Yeah, but the thing is, if Jaime was still stuck in the North laying siege to River Run, then she's definitely finished. But Jaime's whole aim was to sort out the whole problem there and then march back south.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is whether or not Jaime gets to King's Landing in time to save Cersei.
Yeah.
But then I don't know, in the preview we see Jaime with the phrase, so I don't know if he's still going to be stuck there. Because again, this is the thing, right? What's happening in King's Landing, Jaime doesn't know. He won't know until after it happens. So he may not have time to. But yes, I think certainly I'm with you on this point. I would not like to see Cersei be executed by High Sparrow.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is, I mean, it doesn't look like there'll be a trial by combat. If there were a trial by but what I mean is, if there were going to be a trial by combat, I think my sympathies would be with Cersei. I wouldn't want to, have Cersei executed.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a possibility? I think somebody else is going to get it next episode. I'm very sure somebody else is going to get it.
What is your prediction?
Like I told you, I've seen some stuff on the internet and my mind's been influenced by what I saw. I hope it's not true.
But as you know from Umber's turning on Ramsay.
Yeah, I mean this was such an. In fact, I thought it would. In fact, when we were watching it, there was one point where I thought the small John Umber had betrayed Ramsay because
you really confused me because I was like, what are you talking about?
Well, they were saying that on What the Flick. They were saying that, or was it on Tango Ghost Review? But they were saying that on it, and there's so much on the internet that I was actually anticipating. Will he? And then there was one moment where I thought, yes, he has, and I was cheering. And then suddenly, like, oh no, he's not. He's actually like coming from the other side and attacking like Jon Snow's army.
So don't believe everything you read.
And finally, getting back to Ramsay and Joffrey, right? Between the two, what's your, how do the two? Because okay, let's face it. Along with the rest of the Western world, I'm sure that we were glad to see Ramsay Bolton.
Oh yeah, long overdue.
But which was better
What is your question?
compared to Joffrey? Not Joffrey.
What's the question?
The question is Joffrey's end and Ramsay's end.
Ramsay's end was more satisfying.
Is that because we actually hate Ramsay more than we ever did with Joffrey?
Yeah, because it's been going on for how many seasons has Ramsay been torturing and like just being in pure evil?
And you know,
I think Ramsay was a lot more twisted than Joffrey.
Yeah.
Joffrey was bad, but Ramsay was.
Yeah. Somehow you hated Ramsay Bolton more than you hated Joffrey.
Yeah.
Because Joffrey, he was like, one is he was still a kid, so you know, it's like if you give a child like absolute power, what do you expect? You know, he doesn't have the maturity to sort of balance his actions to a certain extent. Whereas like Ramsay's obviously a grown man.
Yeah.
You know? And that there always seems to be there's that extra viciousness in Ramsay that makes his end on
and
the
he
program.
raped Sansa. That was sick. That was like
he was definitely
that
a sick.
episode completely like I was horrified. I was very very disturbed by that episode.
I think a lot of people were.
I was actually angry with the show for putting that in. I was furious for days
with the directors for having that scene.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because that doesn't happen in the books, does it?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because you were saying.
Because when it happened, I was angry with George Martin.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is he thinking? Why is he doing this?
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I was furious.
Is that part of the reason why this is actually so much more satisfying?
I think so. I think that's got something to do with it, yeah.
Yeah, because because of all the things he's done, and especially the way he was with Sansa, you kind of, really feel that. I thought that Jon Snow was actually going to batter him to death. That was going to be his end.
That would have been a bit of a letdown.
It wouldn't have been if we didn't
because
know
he was
this.
smiling. Jon was hitting him and he was smiling, and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, sick fella.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this is it. He's going to be like smashed to a pulp, and we're going to see like a really disgusting thing. And then he looks at Sansa and like, okay. And then like he's like he's in the jail cell. Like, what are they going to do? Like, having been killed by his own dogs. That was.
Yeah, because a lot of people were upset by him turning the dogs on.
And we didn't even see it happening.
Yeah.
And this we saw it because there was a scene where we actually watched the dog biting his face, and then we see his hands.
Yeah.
So I think this has been one hell of a good episode. And we were all prepared for a tragic sort of episode, and we'll be upset. And I think
it was actually quite nice because we watched it twice, and it was nice to be able to go into watching the second time thinking we don't need to like prepare ourselves for another. We can watch it at ease because nothing that bad is going to happen. It's actually we came out and we thought yes. Yeah.
I think the best thing about this episode for me was the fact that I went into it thinking it's going to feel like either episode 9 in season 1 or the Red Wedding.
Yeah, we're going to come out.
Oberyn.
We're going to come out feeling traumatized.
Yeah, you'll be crying.
I'll be crying.
There were a couple of moments where I thought she's going to burst into tears now. Because you were like, oh.
I know.
Yeah, and I really thought Tommen was going to die. I mean, I know, I thought Tommen was going to, because it's Game of Thrones. It's like they deliberately kill the characters you like. They deliberately kill the characters you like, And I thought, oh no, don't kill Tommen, because there was that point where he was fighting Small John Umber and he was actually being beaten, right?
I thought you were talking about Tommen.
No, Tommen, the wildling.
Ginger Wild.
Yeah, the bear guy. Yeah, I thought, and I was like, oh no, like, and I even thought these guys, Game of Thrones, they'll be perverse enough to kill the Mormont girl. That she will get killed like after the battle,
I didn't actually see her fighting.
No, but I really loved that character.
I would have liked to have seen her like.
No, I mean
whipping some foot. That would have been awesome.
She's like
I know,
11
but-
years old.
Yeah, but she would have been like 10.
I mean, that's just bravado, isn't it? But I really loved that character, and I loved it. And if you've recorded this, like we have, the best scene for me was at the parley before the battle when John and Ramsay and all the supporters are discussing. And that scene, oh, you really hate Ramsay, the way he goes, I will do this bastard. Oh my god, this guy's such a
He's such a
right? And he actually is. He is.
Although he has the name.
Yeah, I mean, his
But-
father has recognized him, but still, his parents weren't married, so technically he still would be.
Bastard by name, bastard by name.
Yeah, and my favorite scene was there was just for a fleeting instant they cut to that little girl, Lyanna Mormont, and the look on her face, she was like,
Utter disdain.
yeah, it's like I think that girl is such a great actor because it's like, oh, it was you just look at it and think like she's sitting there and you can actually sort of imagine what she's thinking. It's like, oh my god, this guy is such a swine. How can any person be such a horrible? It's like that look. Oh, I loved it.
It's priceless.
I love that character. Please do not kill that character off. I just really like that character. I think a lot of people like that character. Don't they?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of stuff on Twitter, and you know, I want to see that Lyanna Mormont. And maybe who would she be? Is she Jorah's daughter?
No, she's your sister?
Is she sister?
Not daughter. Not daughter.
Oh no, because when John was speaking to her, did he refer to
Or
Jor
cousin.
as the father? Oh, I don't know.
They're
We
cousins
we
or
can
something.
watch
It's
it.
not mother-daughter. They're cousins or brother and sister or something. They're not.
Is it?
It's not.
So Jorah actually should be in charge of Bear Island because he's the son, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Something. Well, we'll find out. Yeah, but that was a great character. I'm glad she survived. So let's see. And okay, before we wrap up quickly, predictions. I think somebody's gonna get it, and because of what I read on the internet, my mind influenced. But what's your prediction?
I think the Lannisters are done.
So
I still
who?
think
Who's gonna
Cersei's-
get it?
Cersei.
You think Cersei, or do you think
Tommen.
more than
Tommen.
who? Cersei or Tommen? What's your prediction? You just have to say that, or both. What do you think?
Both.
You think both Cersei and Tommen
Yeah.
are going to get it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because something has to happen, right? I mean, if okay, Rickon dies, but really, I mean, I think this was a happy ending. This was a happy episode.
Okay, I have heard some stuff as well about Cersei. Not.
Well, we can say.
Like,
Oh no, don't, because I may not have heard the same thing.
okay,
Okay, let's not.
better not.
So we both heard, so it's no point making prediction. Okay, but I think before it halfway through the season, I was thinking this season we're going to lose one of the Starks, and we did lose one of the Starks. But I was thinking of either Jon, Arya, or Sansa would die. Bran, no, because really, I mean, he's the Tree Raven, etc.
If he was going to die, would die.
Yeah. So Arya's not. Arya has survived. Jon and Sansa have survived now because really, if Arya was going to die, he would have been killed by that way. And Jon and Sansa would have been killed by Ramsay. So it looks like the Starks have made it, but I don't think that Game of Thrones is going to let us off that easy. They're not going to give us a happy ending for the season. There's going to be something. So my prediction is we're going to lose someone we care about.
Yeah. Before this episode, I would have been worried for Tyrion as well. But I think now that Daenerys is kind of
Oh, what do you think Daenerys should have executed?
not executed, but somehow
Oh, when the
something
masters
would,
were
yeah,
attacking.
something somehow would
Yeah.
happen.
It's
Yeah.
a war.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think Tyrion isn't going to be the one. So, Jaime, Cersei,
Mm-hmm.
who else is there who would actually be upset
What?
about?
Oh,
Jaime.
the other thing. What is going to happen with because Davos has found the stag, Shaween stag?
He'll probably confront her, but the thing is, if they decide to execute Melisandre, right? First of all, I don't think that'll happen because she brought Jon Snow back
Yeah.
to life.
And now they don't really need her. So
yeah, they're not going to. They might sort of like there might be a confrontation or whatever, but I don't think they will. And even if she does, I don't think she's a lovable character.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's somebody who, if she dies, will be like, oh no, no.
Especially now that she's kind of lost her spot, she's lost her confidence.
Yeah, she's no longer a
You don't really
religious
hate her
fanatic.
anymore. You actually feel a bit sorry for her because
Yeah.
she's kind of been crushed by what's happened
Yeah,
by Stannis.
but I think even if she got killed now, I wouldn't be too like, oh no, they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
She's not a character that you sympathize with all that much.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Jamie, Cersei. I think it's just either Jamie or Cersei, isn't it? Because who else would we really care about? Who is in sort of like at risk of dying? Or they could still kill off one of the three stars. You never know.
You never know.
Yeah,
that's the thing. You never
That's
know.
the thing about this program. So okay, anyway, because I honestly thought this episode, I was thinking
we were going
Sansa will die.
Right.
My guess was Sansa was going to
Me
die.
too.
Because Jon, he's already died, so unlikely. But Sansa, I thought Sansa's going to die. And I'm so glad that it's Ramsay who got it instead.
We got out.
Yeah, but I would think either Jamie or Cersei is. So your prediction is Cersei and Tommen, you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Listen. Because when is the trial going to be? Is that going to be next episode?
Yeah,
Trial?
have you seen the preview?
I haven't yet.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a bit of a trial.
So I think that's gonna lead on to events which are gonna be quite hard hitting. Something's gonna happen.
But is Cersei just going to let them? Because she's got the mountain. It'll be interesting to see, I guess.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week
Yes. Okay.
with our review.
We'll.
If we're still if we're not sobbing into our pillows.
No, I wouldn't be that upset with Cersei. I'd probably be not happy, but I wouldn't be too. Would you, Cersei?
I don't know. It depends how
You
it
hate the High Sparrow
It
that
just depends how it plays out.
Yeah.
It depends how it plays out.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to see like the Starks win and Cersei like is actually going to also win against the High Sparrow. But they'll be like. No, they're going to do something. They're going to do something. Something really bad is going to happen next episode. I guess we'll have to wait and see what.
Yeah. Well, I still we're wondering about this wildfire. I'm still wondering whether Cersei. What is this rumor? This rumor is obviously going to have some impact that they were talking about last week. Cersei and the Maester talking about the rumor. And it's much more.
So what do you think the rumor is?
My first thoughts was that it was about wildfire, about the extent of it being laid out.
So you think she's going to burn the whole of King's Landing down?
I don't know. I think she would. If it was to try and save her son and save the...
How would she save her son by burning the whole... They'll all die.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's more likely to be some kind of rumor that she can use to against the High Sparrow, or maybe he's got family that they can kidnap.
Or maybe he's done something. It's like, well, if you're telling me about this, then what about you?
Yeah, or maybe he's got loved ones that he cares about. Because what is? Yeah, the thing is, right? What is the High Sparrow's weak spot? Everybody in this program has a weak spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like Jon Snow's weak spot is his honor. I mean, he would sacrifice his life for honor. And we saw that in this episode. And Cersei's is her children.
Yeah.
And Jaime's is his love for Cersei.
Yeah.
So everybody's got a weak spot. Littlefinger's is his love for Sansa. But what is a High Sparrow's weak spot? We've never seen a weak spot for the High Sparrow, have we? Because he's like, oh yeah, you can kill me if you want, and I'll be serving the gods. So this rumor may be the High Sparrow's weak spot, and that would be interesting to see. Anyway, till next week. Thank you for watching our review, and goodbye.